Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chandri Radhe Radhe. Jai Radha Kala Chandri Shri Radhe. Jai Radha Kala Chandri Shri Radhe. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, Jai Srila Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to start chapter 12 from Canto 6. The chapter titles Vritrasura's Glorious Death. Who else have we heard in Srimad Bhagavatam whose death has been described glorious? Bhishmadev. Dhruv Maharaj. Yes. Why is it glorious? Because when devotees leave this body, they are not going to just get trapped again in the cycle of birth and death, but they remember Krishna at the time of death. And hence, somebody who walks in for the first time in one of our sessions and just sees that we're talking about death like 60% of the time, they would be like, what are we doing? Why are we talking about death all the time? And it's supposed to be like scary, inauspicious, unplanned, right? Especially this is the fear of a lot of people, that I might die any moment. But a lot of people are in ignorance. They would think that maybe death is not for me. It's not something that I'm going to face anytime soon. But this is a reminder for all of us almost every day in Bhagavatam class, that death is as natural as anything and it can come at any moment. And that's why, like these amazing Vaishnavas, like the amazing devotees, even Vritrasura, his the whole pastime that he is in a demon body, but he shows amazing qualities of how, what should a devotee's mood be. So we're going to start with chapter 12, and today we're going to cover text 1 through 17, and we are going to focus on text 7 today. So we can start with text 1.
Shukadev Goswami said, desiring to give up his body, Vritrasura considered death in the battle preferable to victory. O King Parikshit, he vigorously took up his trident with great force, attacked Lord Indra, the king of heaven, just as Kaitaba had forcefully attacked the Supreme Personality of Godhead when the universe was inundated.
Then Vritrasura, the great hero of the demons, whirled his trident, which had points like the flames of the blazing fire at the end of the millennium. With great force and anger he threw it at Indra, roaring and exclaiming loudly, "O sinful one, thus I shall kill you!"
Flying in the sky, Vritrasura's trident resembled a brilliant meteor. Although the blazing weapon was difficult to look upon, King Indra, unafraid, cut it to pieces with his thunderbolt. Simultaneously, he cut off one of Vritrasura's arms, which was as thick as the body of Vasuki, the king of the serpents.
Although one of his arms was severed from his body, Vritrasura angrily approached King Indra and struck him on the jaw with an iron mace. He also struck the elephant that carried Indra. Thus Indra dropped the thunderbolt from his hand.
The denizens of various planets, like the demigods, demons, charanas, and siddhas, praised Vritrasura's deed. But when they observed that Indra was in great danger, they lamented, "Alas, alas!"
Having dropped the thunderbolt from his hand in the presence of his enemy, Indra was practically defeated and was very much ashamed. He dared not to pick up his weapon again. Vritrasura, however, encouraged him, saying, "Take up your thunderbolt and kill your enemy. This is not the time to lament your fate."
Vritrasura continued, "O Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious but the original enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and he knows everything. Being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies, belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated."
All living beings in all the planets of this universe, including the presiding deities of all the planets, are fully under the control of the Lord. They work like birds caught in a net who cannot move independently.
Our sensory prowess, mental power, bodily strength, living force, immortality, and mortality are all subject to the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not knowing this, foolish people think the dull material body to be the cause of their activities.
O King Indra, as a wooden doll that looks like a woman or as an animal made of grass and leaves cannot move or dance independently, but depends fully on the person who handles it, all of us dance according to the desire of the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead. No one is independent.
The three Purushas, Karana Dokshayi Vishnu, Garbodakshayi Vishnu, and Kashira Dokshayi Vishnu, the material nature, the total material energy, the false ego, the five material elements, the material senses, the mind, the intelligence, and consciousness cannot create the material manifestation without the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
A foolish, senseless person cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although always dependent, he falsely thinks himself the Supreme. If one thinks, according to one's previous fruitive actions, one's material body is created by the father and mother, and the same body is annihilated by another agent, as another animal is devoured by a tiger, this is not proper understanding. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself creates and devours the living beings through other living beings.
Just as a person not inclined to die must nonetheless give up his longevity, opulence, fame, and everything else at the time of death, so at the appointed time of victory, one can gain all these when the Supreme Lord awards them by his mercy.
Since everything is dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead, one should be equipoised in fame and defamation, victory and defeat, life and death, and their effects represented as happiness and distress. One should maintain oneself in equilibrium without anxiety.
One who knows that the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are not qualities of the soul, but qualities of material nature, and who knows that the pure soul is simply an observer of the actions and reactions of these qualities, should be understood to be a liberated person. He is not bound by these qualities.
O my enemy, just look at me. I have already been defeated for my weapon, and my arm has been cut to pieces. You have already overwhelmed me, but nonetheless, with the desire to kill you, I am trying my best to fight. I am not at all morose, even under such adverse situations. Therefore, you should give up your moroseness and continue fighting.
O my enemy, consider this battle a gambling match in which our lives are the stakes. The arrows are the dice, and the animals acting as carriers are the game board. No one can understand who will be defeated and who will be victorious. It all depends on providence.
Thank you. We'll read text 7. 7. Let's recite this verse. Please repeat after me. Yuyut satam kutra jidat tayinam Jayaha sadekatra nave paratmanam Vinayikam utpatti lai sthiti ishwaram Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatana Yuyut satam kutra jidat tayinam Jayaha sadekatra nave paratmanam Vinayikam utpatti lai sthiti ishwaram Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatanam. Please recite. Yuyut satam kutra jitat tayinam Jaya sadekatra nave paratmanam Vinayikam utpatti laya sthiti ishwaram Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatana Yuyut satatam kutra jitat tayinam Jaya sadekatra nave paratmana Vinayikam utpatti laya sthiti ishwaram Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatana Yuyut satam kutra jitat tayinam Jaya sadekatra nave paratmanam Vinaykamutpatila stitishwara Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatana Yuyutsatam kutrajita tatayena Jaya sadaikatra vai paratmana Vinaykamutpatila stitishwara Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatana. Thank you. We'll read word-to-word translation. We can read this together. Yuyut satam, of those who are belligerent. Kutrachit, sometimes. Atatayinam, armed with weapons. Jayaha, victory. Sada, always. Ikatra, in one place. Na, not. Why, indeed. Para atmanam, of the subordinate living entities who work only under the direction of the Supersoul. Vina, except. Ekam, one. Utpati, of the creation. Laya, annihilation. Sthiti, and maintenance. Ishwaram, the controller. Sarvagna, who knows everything past, present and future. Adyam, the original. Purusham, enjoyer. Sanatanam, eternal. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vritrasura continued, O Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious, but the original enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and he knows everything. Being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies, belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya chaham hridisha nivishta matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. When two parties fight, the fighting actually goes on under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, the Supersoul. Elsewhere, in the Gita 3.27, Lord says, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. The living entities work only under the direction of the Supreme Lord. The Lord gives orders to material nature, and she arranges facilities for the living entities. The living entities are not independent, although they foolishly think themselves the doers, karta. Victory is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As for the subordinate living entities, they fight under the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Victory or defeat is not actually theirs. It is an arrangement by the Lord through the agency of material nature. Pride in victory or moroseness in defeat is useless. One should fully depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is responsible for the victory and defeat of all living entities. The Lord advises, Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayo hyak akarmanaha. Perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. Perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. The living entity is ordered to act according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Supreme Lord. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of actions. One must sincerely, according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Lord. Vritrasura encouraged Indra, saying, Don't be morose because of my victory. There is no need to stop fighting. Instead, you should go on with your duty. When Krishna desires, you will certainly be victorious. This verse is very instructive for sincere workers in the Krishna consciousness movement. We should not be jubilant in victory or morose in defeat. We should make a sincere effort to implement the will of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should not be concerned with victory and defeat. Our only duty is to work sincerely so that our activities may be recognized by Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaitva Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatate Shatarine Hare Krishna. So this is, we read all the translations, and last few classes we've been hearing about the amazing fight, this war that is happening between Indra and Vritrasura. So I'm just going to a lot of times when it's asked it's discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, where devotees say that we must act in accordance to the will of the Lord. We must surrender to the will of the Lord. When you know that you're going to win in that will, in that desire of Krishna's, it's easier to surrender. Just like when the battle of Mahabharata, in the great war that was happening, Krishna, when Arjun was full of doubt and he gave up before fighting, he didn't want to fight. When Krishna told him that, and he spoke entirely, and the essence was that you must fight. Arjun, you decide whatever you want to do, but if I have already killed all these demons, I have killed the Kauravas, but I want you to be the instrument in this. And so Arjun, very happily, he was very determined to fight after that. But Arjun knew that he would win, right? Here, Vritrasura was a demon and he knew he was going to get defeated. Still, he very determinedly fought this war. And not just fought, but he also gave amazing knowledge to Indra. Imagine in a war or in a fight, usually what do players do? Sledging. They will do trash talk and they will sledge the opponents. Here, when he sees Indra, that he's becoming morose, he starts giving him gyan, he starts giving him knowledge. He's motivating him. Imagine that position. He's not sledging him, hey, what are you doing? And he doesn't want to win. He knows, Vritrasura knows that he will be defeated, but he's still encouraging Indra. So what exactly is happening before he actually starts talking to Indra? We know that Indra has this powerful weapon. What is the name of that weapon? That Vajra, that came out of the bones of the Dichi. And Vritrasura is very strong. Before this weapon, when all the demigods were attacking Vritrasura, he was so powerful that all the weapons that were being attacked or thrown at him, he would just swallow them or he would just punch them away. So no weapon could really kill him except this one Vajra, which Indra has. And now Indra already has cut one of the arms of Vritrasura. So he's just fighting one-armed. There was one incident where Indra threw one club, not the Vajra, but some club at Vritrasura. He took a shot at him, and Vritrasura he caught it with left hand, not even his right hand, which is our powerful hand or like stronger hand, but he caught with his left hand and he just threw it away. And he threw it and it hit the elephant on the chin. The elephant's chin starts bleeding and the elephant falls like 14 yards away. And when the elephant falls, Indra also falls. So Indra is ashamed that, okay, I am losing in this war. And he becomes morose. Just like when we are trying to do something and we fail at it, we become extremely disheartened. We become embarrassed. We develop what? Fear of failure. We develop fear of rejection. This is what we usually, like a common average man, would experience when they fail at doing something that they really wanted to do, and especially with the mentality that all jivas, they just want to win. We just simply want to do something for victory. But when that doesn't happen, don't we feel dejected? Don't we feel like, oh, I'm not going to try it again. I'm just not going to do it. Why is that? Because we feel that we are doing it for ourselves. Because our consciousness is, we're self-centered. That, okay, I wanted to do this, I'm not able to do this, oh my God, what would others think? What would they think of my reputation? Nobody's actually thinking about us, but our ego really swallows the whole point of, what is the intention of me doing this activity? And that is what Vritrasura is reminding Indra, that, you are going to win because this is the desire of Krishna. But to fulfill that desire, you need to fight. You need to do the karma, you need to do the action. Thank you. You need to do the action. And even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, renunciation in action. We don't want renunciation of action. We don't want inaction. The nature of the soul is to be active. And everything is happening due to Krishna's desire, due to Krishna's will. Everything. But he allows us to be the instruments to fulfill his desire. Krishna could have easily killed the Kauravas. He probably didn't even have to descend here. But he wanted to give his devotee the credit for all of this. He wanted to glorify Arjun. Who is one more example who fights in the war and will be defamed because he is not fighting for dharma? Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, amazing teachers, amazing warrior. Bhishma Pitama he could have single-handedly defeated Pandavas. He could have single-handedly done it. But why he couldn't do it? Because Krishna did not desire that. Duryodhan was extremely confident that I will win this battle. Why else would you think a person who's so puffed up would fight on Dharamkshetra and who would be so confident that, I'm going to defeat the Pandavas? Of course, he was arrogant, he was blinded by his ego and his attachment, and there was so much greed and fear, all of that. But one thing that he was so sure was, because Bhishma Pitama is leading my army, so we are surely going to win this. But still they did not win because it was not Krishna's desire. Duryodhana actually says that the Pandavas are being led by Bhim, but he's inadequate to win this war. Pandavas are inadequate. But Bhishma Pitama, he's sufficient. He's just sufficient. Alone also he could have won. Because he depended on Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Karan. Amazing yodhas were on his side. But he still lost. And Bhishma Dev, why was he still there? Everybody, he knew that people are going to criticize him. Even now people ask that, why did Bhishma Pitama fight from the side of the Kauravas? He was following his own promise, but of course, Krishna's desire surpasses everything. And so he was also willing to just accept whatever comes. He was performing his duty. So here, Vritrasura motivates Indra that don't be morose, because you are going to win this war. And more than that, we both here are acting as instruments. And we need to fight because we are here to fulfill the desire of Krishna. That's why Vritrasura's death becomes glorious, because his desire is that I'm going to fight because Krishna wants this, and also because at the time of death, I am going to try really hard to focus my mind, my heart, completely on Krishna. And so for us, the question is, how do we surrender to the will of Krishna? How do we, and first of all, why do we want to surrender to Krishna's will? Why should we do that, devotees?
Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he knows everything. He knows what's best for us.
Exactly. Because he knows the best, not just for me, for you, for everybody, even for the little ant that we cannot see. But Krishna is thinking every second of all the living entities. And so anyway, even if we are participating in Krishna's will or against his will, it's still going to happen according to his will. So we need to ask ourselves, do we directly want to be part of Krishna's plan, or do we indirectly want to be part of Krishna's plan? Even if I don't want to do something, Krishna is still going to make that thing happen. Krishna is still going to fulfill his desire. But hey, do I want to be favorable to that plan? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. And why? Because if we don't take part in Krishna's plan, that's the reason for the dissatisfaction of our mind. That is the reason, that's the answer to this big question, right? People are earning so well, people are so successful, but they're still not happy. They're doing everything they could think of. They're still dying. They are still aging. They're still so dissatisfied. They have, like, let's say, perfect health. They have perfect family. They have, in fact, I mean, there's no thing as perfect in this material world, but just for, like, example's sake, everything is going fine, but still there is dissatisfaction. Why? Because they are not doing something that is putting Krishna in the center. So that's the first thing, that why should we take part in Krishna's will? That's also for our benefit. We want to be tools, instruments in Krishna's plan, because that is like the best thing for me. Because Krishna is always thinking best for all of us. And when we try, how can we try to follow Krishna's plan or Krishna's desire? How can we do that? How do you think we can follow Krishna's plan? We approach spiritual master, we follow their instructions because they are the guiding force, they are decoding, basically they are helping us understand and reminding us what is the purpose of my life and what is actually Krishna's desire. Krishna's actually publicized the confidential desires in Bhagavad Gita. He's just illustrated it out for us. He's just said all of that. Whatever he wants, he's already mentioned it to Arjun, to all of us. And we just want to follow those instructions, because I want to support, I want to do something that that helps me part of being part of Krishna's plan. What else do you think? Krishna Prabhu said, Guru, following the instructions of Guru. How else do you think we can follow Krishna's plan? Shastra, the scriptures, what these stories, these pastimes that we're hearing every day is not just like fairy tales, but they have lessons for us. They have instructions for us. So Shastras also reveal Krishna's desire. So Guru, Shastra, and one more thing, Sadhu, devotees. Devotees are also reflection of, like when you really have association of exalted devotees, you will see that they are, because you see they are leading an exemplified life. They are following instructions of Krishna, and their purity has a lot of force, and you get very motivated to be in the association of that pure devotee, and you want to do, you want to listen to them, you want to serve them, you want to follow what they are following, and you become much more closer to Krishna. So we need to learn how to bridge the desire from my desire to Krishna's desire. How can I combine my desire to Krishna's desire? Right now, I'm thinking, what is my desire? Okay, what do I want to do? What do I like? That's mostly what we are thinking at all times. What do I like? What would make me happy right now? What would make my family happy? What would make people like me? But when I think, okay, what would Krishna like at this point? What would, in this situation, how would Krishna expect me to act? But I would know all of that when I have knowledge of Shastra, when I have association of pure devotees, because Shastra is also non-different from Krishna. That's literate manifestation of Krishna, of Supreme Personality in written form, because Vyasadeva has illustrated all of that for us. So that way I can learn how I can make Krishna's desire my desire, in the sense that I want to follow what Krishna's plan is. I don't want to follow my plan. I want to put Krishna in the center. And that will resolve so many problems. Why else do you think that Pandavas, who went through so many atrocities, Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, Draupadi, and they still were begging for more problems. They still were praying. Kunti Maharani still prays for problems. Why? Because this is the essence. Because they were like, Krishna, that way we can remember you at all times. That way you can be with us. And they could have prayed for a peaceful life, kingdom, far away from Kauravas, happy Lala land. They could have prayed for all of that, but they didn't. Why would a person want to keep suffering when they're getting and they're feeling that they are getting all the mercy? Because they have left the desire to enjoy, and they've understood there is only one enjoyer, and we want to help facilitate everything around us to make Krishna happy. It is hard at times, actually most of the times. It's hard, right? It's easy to say, but because since our childhood, since the time we come into this material world, we are taught, and actually not just taught, it's natural that we want to do something that gives me pleasure, that makes me happy. So we are always the center of our thoughts, of our desires, our actions. When we make this big transition, that who is in the center? I want to put Krishna in the center. It's easy if you think, Krishna, as that personality who's always with you. He's your best friend. That makes it easier. Why? Because when you have a relationship with someone, you can experience that care and love that you always have for that person. For example, your friend, your partner, your kids, or anybody in your family, you would want to make them happy. And you would think that, okay, this person's birthday is coming. I really want to make this person happy. I want to really surprise this person. I want to make some efforts for this person. And that way, it's easier for you to put in that position where you can think and do things for the other person. So you have suddenly become, that person comes in the center. But in the material world, when we still do that, it doesn't give us ultimate satisfaction. There are problems, even when you put the other person in the center. And that is why our acharyas say, why are we hearing from senior devotees, in all your relationships, make Krishna the third partner. Make Krishna the person in the center, especially in a marriage. When there are two people, if you put Krishna in the center, then your marriage becomes like a service to Krishna. It becomes devotional service. It becomes blissful. And this can be in any relationship. So when you put Krishna in the center, just like Vritrasura did, he put Krishna in the center and he's willing to fight. Why else would he encourage his opponent and give him Shastri Gyan? Because he wants to make Krishna happy. I would pause here for any questions, comments, realizations.
Hi Krishna. So I had a question a bit about, so part of the verses from today, it talks about how we shouldn't necessarily feel embarrassed. But we've read before in the Bhagavad Gita how living entities, we're all kind of embarrassed by the material energy. So sometimes I also feel like embarrassed about coming under some illusion or something. I realize later, I'm like, oh, this is exactly, I've been embarrassed by material energy. Krishna, please help. So I'm wondering about your thoughts on this. Like, is that something we should feel embarrassed about? Can that kind of embarrassment encourage us in the right direction? Or is it something is that also our conditioning to feel embarrassed? Or what do you think?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I think that it is our conditioning to feel conscious, embarrassed, because we are still putting ourselves in the center that, okay, I did this and I shouldn't have done it. And sometimes we are overwhelmed with so much embarrassment. If it's stopping you to serve better, then it's not good embarrassment. In the sense, it's not productive. But if it's encouraging you to next time be more aware and be more vigilant and be more careful, that, okay, yes, I can discriminate well now between, am I being under the force of material nature or I am actually doing my prescribed duty. So if that embarrassment is pulling me back, then I need to make it more favorable. I need to understand that it's okay, I'm in a material world, I am in this conditioned body, and it's bound to happen. There are times that Maya will, not at times, most of the time we are acting under the material nature. So, but the good thing is, if you can see that, if you can actually see that, yes, this is not how I should be reacting, then it's good if we can learn from that yes, I want to be more careful. And the best thing is when you can actually speak to a devotee you look up to, who can give you who can guide you. And also, I think what really helps is when you keep praying to Krishna and when you have a relationship with Krishna, when you can just share all this with him. Krishna, can you help me, please? no matter how much I depend on my energy to or my strength to battle these challenges, but I don't have that much energy. So Krishna, I really need your mercy so that I can see you even in these situations. And that's what a devotee does. A devotee, even in challenging situations, they will see that this is the mercy of Krishna. And it's like, right, in the relationships, when there are hard times, and when you overcome the difficult time, for example, you had a fight with a friend, and you didn't talk for some time, or you're getting cold vibes from that person, and you're like, how do I talk? How do I break the ice? But when you finally do, when you communicate, when you clear away the differences, there is much more love. There is suddenly increased love, right? And Krishna gives us these challenges sometimes to put us in a zone, because we tend to go in that zone where we are forgetting about Krishna, we're not focusing on him. But then we overcome that by the mercy of Krishna, and then suddenly there is much more love and appreciation for the Lord. It's more spontaneous. But that happens provided if you are actually surrendering to Krishna. And that surrender will happen with firm faith. That's how it all starts, right? Adav Shraddha. That faith needs to be there. That even if Krishna is taking away everything from me, he's doing it for me. This is his mercy. He will take it away. One of the purports, Srila Prabhupada mentions that if Krishna takes away everything from you, you cannot even stop it with your two hands. But if Krishna wants to give you so much, like he has 10 hands, not even 10, he has unlimited, but if he gives you so much, you cannot handle that mercy, you cannot even accept that mercy just with your two hands, because he can give you so much, and we won't be able to even hold it. So the point is, whether Krishna takes away something from us, whether he gives something to us, it's still his mercy. And that comes with our firm faith. Our faith can be developed when we keep hearing Krishna Katha, when we keep hearing about Krishna, when we keep hearing about Krishna's devotees, how Krishna's devotees act. Now this is a wonderful example, right? More than Indra, Vritrasura is being glorified here. Because even though he lost, even though he died in the war, he still won in the spiritual world. That should be our mood. In the material world, even if things are being taken away from us, people are like they are not respecting me, they are saying things about me, I'm not getting that promotion, I'm not really earning so much well. Krishna doesn't want to see your talent, or Krishna doesn't see your material qualities. Krishna only sees one thing, and that is your eagerness to love him. Your desire to love him. If you just have that desire, Krishna will fan it. Krishna will keep sending mercy. So we need to have that desire. Let's like a baby is born, like that a desire needs to be born. It's actually there, but it's dug deep inside. But if that desire blooms, that Krishna, I want to do everything for you. So even like when we wake up in the morning, if we can think like that, Krishna, today's day, you think of Krishna at the starting of anything you do. You think of Krishna while you're amidst that activity, and when that activity ends, you think of Krishna, thank you for being there for me, and I surrender all the results to you. This is all for you. So you're starting of the day, you're starting of a big project, you're starting of a relationship, you're starting of a course, or anything you're doing. Starting your day is very much more relatable, right? Everybody starts their day in the morning. And if we think, Krishna, I want to surrender my day to you. I want to surrender anything that I'm doing. I want to do it for you. I'm coming for Mangalarti. I want to chant for you. I want to sing for you. I'm not singing for getting appreciation. I'm not just sitting here to give class to get appreciation and glories. And I'm doing it for Krishna's pleasure. Because that way, within each one of us, there is Paramatma. And it is the duty of the Vyasas and it is the duty of our scriptures to cultivate that relationship with the super soul that is residing within you. And if we are able to do that for anybody whom we meet, that's such a wonderful service that we would be doing for Krishna. Any other question? Yes. Yeah, can we take the mic, please? Thank you.
I wanted to make sure, Hare Krishna, thank you for teaching.
Krishna.
I wanted to make sure I understood correctly because I might have a different two-part question. So all of us dance according to the desires of Krishna. Does that mean that Krishna approves and causes all actions in the universe? And does he do so by controlling our senses? And if so, why would we need to ask him to control our senses? And why would there be times in the Gita describing Krishna taking control of Arjuna's senses? And does that mean I should act according to my nature? Example, justice-oriented, concerned, equality concerned, and how do you surrender to his will if all of our actions are his will as we are always controlled by him?
Thank you for that question. Yes, if everything is so I'm just summarizing, what you mean is that if everything is anyway happening according to Krishna's will, then if I'm acting according to my nature, that is also Krishna's will, so how am I really acting and what does that really mean? That's the question?
Can you repeat the last part?
Yeah, yes. So I think I understood that since everything is already happening according to Krishna's will, then what am I doing? Even if my nature is according to Krishna's will, then how are the actions supposed to be? If everything is happening. So one thing Krishna has given us is the free will. The will to act according to my desire. How I desire is my free will. What I desire is my free will. So Krishna has always given us this option that do I want to be favorable to the relationship with the Lord, or do I disregard that relationship and I'm unfavorable to it? So Krishna has control over everything. Yes, even a leaf cannot move without Krishna's desire. But because Krishna loves us, he also knows that we know that love cannot be forced, right? If somebody puts a gun on my head and says, tell me you love me, you do this for me, you go and cook food for me, I will do, but it won't be spontaneous, natural love for that person, right? It would be half-heartedly. It would be like I'm doing it because of fear. So Krishna doesn't want a relationship of fear. And Krishna doesn't want us to always live our life in that fear. So Krishna gives us that free will that you have a will to desire how you want to be, how you want to live. Of course, the reaction is, there are so many factors. My past karma, all the actions that I've done in the past. And because of that, I'm getting a certain family in this life. I get a particular body, the way all of us look. Why is it so different? We all have 2 eyes, 1 nose, mouth, everything same, but still we are all so different. Our bodies are so different. Our families are so different. Some of us are born in a very much more loving family where we are pampered with love. But some people have a very hard time growing up. So why? So a lot of things are not in our hand, but there is still one thing that in our hand is how we want, with just one word, my desire. That's in my hand. So that desire changes everything, because that desire changes my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And how I act in situations, whatever is the reaction is not in my hand. That is all because of Krishna's desire and because of the past karma. But my actions in situations is I won't say in my control, but it's still my desire and I have partial control. I have limited control. So what you can focus on is that how you want to approach in this relationship with the Lord. Do you accept you have a relationship with the Lord? Do you accept the teachings of the scriptures? Do you accept that there is Supreme Personality who is always thinking the best for us? And does that melt my heart, or does that make me more egoistic that I want to be bigger than that God? That is my desire. Does that help?
Is it like, so I have PTSD, and so my normal like karmic reaction to things I would imagine is like fear, and so fear reactions don't usually end very well, but I imagine that, so the free will, is that, when that comes in, is that the choice to respond with surrender and love versus fear?
Yes, surrender and love, with love versus fear. But that will happen when we have the right information. Sometimes we don't read scriptures and we're not with devotees, and we interpret what is Krishna trying to tell me, and that could be wrong. Okay, I'm thinking Krishna is trying to tell me, go take this job. Krishna is probably trying to tell me because suddenly it started raining, so I think Krishna is giving me a signal. No, we should understand that Krishna will communicate to us through a mentor in spiritual life, through scriptures. Krishna communicates to us. God communicates to us through his words in Bhagavad Gita. So if we are more open-minded, our basic job is just come here, let's read, let's hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and let's learn from these pastimes what Krishna instructed, what Srila Prabhupada is, how he's decoding these pastimes for the welfare of all of us. So that's the simple step. We don't need to make it very complicated that what is Krishna trying to tell me. It's very hard. For me also, if I just think, what is Krishna trying to tell me? I don't have that power to understand. So yeah, it's with the mercy of the Lord we can understand. Yes, please.
So this is something I've thought about a lot, this question. If it's okay, I can
please
add to it.
Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. It's something I've talked with my spiritual master about a little bit, and they gave some classes on a series about kind of like, what does it mean that Krishna is the supreme controller? And how does this material energy work? And how do we really have control of our actions? Do we really have free will if we're always under the control of the material nature also? So Krishna is the supreme controller, and yet he also has built this system for us, this container. And so it is not always that he is directly moving every part, and so much of our desire and our free will comes into the fact of how conditioned are we. You know, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita asks Krishna, how come even when I want to do the right thing, sometimes I still mess up? And Krishna explains that we're still under the control of lust and things like that. And so sometimes when we're still very conditioned, we almost like, we don't want to give an excuse, but sometimes we can't help but do the wrong thing because we're still learning. And so even though Krishna is the controller of everything, he doesn't claim our pious or our impious actions. There is still that's talked about in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is that he doesn't claim our every action to where he forces us to do something. That is completely our choice and our desire on how to act and respond. And how do we take actions in our life in order to purify so that we are becoming transcendental over the modes of material nature, and they are not controlling us so much. So that's part of this bhakti yoga process. And Krishna, as the controller, has set up this system that we are a part of. We are inside the system, and it's kind of like clothes in a washing machine. They can kind of spin and spin and spin, and we can get tossed and turned by the material nature. Or when we surrender to Krishna, he can take us outside of that, outside of the machine, and we can observe and see how it works. And then, you know, basically the bhakti yoga process, I see it as kind of like hand washing our clothes. We have a little more control over our life and things like that, but we still need to get clean. So yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank
I
you
hope
so
that
much.
helps.